I just got done watching Wicked for good, and here are my thoughts. Going into this one, I was coming at it from a pretty weird angle. I've never seen the Broadway play. I'm not someone who grew up with the soundtrack on repeat, and I don't have that built-in nostalgia a lot of fans do, but I did see the first movie, and I genuinely loved it. The songs were great, sometimes outright beautiful, and the performances had this grounded sincerity I wasn't expecting. It felt surprisingly well written, well acted, and honestly way more emotional layered than the glitzy musical adaptation label would suggest. So stepping into part 2, I had a mix of excitement and curiosity. Could they take what worked and expand it? Could they land the story in a way that feels earned? And just how different is the infamous Act 2 energy everyone always talks about? Well, it looks like everything people have been saying about Act 2 of Wicked hasn't changed a bit. This movie leans fully into the bigger, darker, more operatic emotional swings the stage version is known for, sometimes in ways that feel powerful, sometimes in ways that feel a little bit overwhelming, and sometimes in ways that leave you just sitting there going, okay, bold choice. But that's part of why this is interesting for me. I'm coming in with no stage expectations, only what the films themselves have built. I was hoping for a big emotional payoff to the story that Part 1 set up. Instead, it often feels like a beautifully mounted epilogue stretched into a full film. There are things to admire here, and in isolated moments it really works, but as a complete story it never quite finds the emotional sweep it's reaching for. Starting with the positives, well, the acting is really good. Across the board, the performances feel committed and sincere, even when the script doesn't give the characters much depth to work with. You can tell the cast is trying, and sometimes succeeding, at elevating material that feels thinner than it should. The visual effects are also a noticeable improvement over the first film. Everything is more polished, cleaner, more seamless, yet oddly the movie doesn't feel as pretty. The cinematography lacks that pop of color and enchantment the first film had. Though it is possible this could have been affected by the theater I saw it in, still there's a muted quality here that feels out of place. The music, thankfully, is still strong. Most of the songs are enjoyable, with Wonderful bringing a fun jolt of energy, and For Good remaining genuinely beautiful. The kind of emotional musical moment that actually lands. But compared to the first film, the number of memorable songs feel fewer. Some feel like they blend into the background rather than stand out, and Wicked Witch of the East in particular didn't work for me at all. The soundtrack is far from bad, but it doesn't hit the same highs as before, which is disappointing given how heavily the emotional arc of this story relies on the music to do the heavy lifting. Where the film really loses me is the writing. There's just such a lack of emotional depth, especially in the moments that are supposed to matter the most. When Elphaba's sister dies, the movie treats it with such bizarre detachment that it actually pulled me out of the story. Elphaba seems more annoyed about Glinda giving away the slippers than devastated by, her sister being crushed by a house? It's framed as an emotional turning point, but the characters barely react, and without that reaction, the audience doesn't have anything to latch onto. This kind of flat emotional follow-through happens multiple times, and it makes the big story beats feel like boxes being checked rather than lived-in moments. And then there's the handling of Dorothy and the others, which is shockingly underwhelming. They're present, technically, but so underused and sidelined that it's almost distracting. The film introduces them like they're going to be integral to the final act, and then doesn't really do anything with them. The presence feels more like an obligation than a meaningful part of the narrative. It's emblematic of the whole movie. Honestly, there are pieces here that could have added emotional complexity and world building, but they're brushed over in favor of moving quickly through the plot. In the end, Wicked for Good isn't a failure, it's just fine. A functional, occasionally charming, occasionally frustrating finale that never reaches the emotional height it aims for. There's talent on screen, some great music, and moments where the magic comes through, but the flat writing and lack of emotional weight keep it firmly in okay territory. It's a decent enough watch, but it leaves you wishing it had more heart, more impact, more something. But maybe I have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm gonna watch the new season of Man on the Inside because that's a better use of my time. But until next time, keep watching movies, keep noticing the little details, and remember,